Hello and welcome again to One Starfish, where our mission is to help change the world one person or one starfish at a time. As always, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, share. That's how we get the word out about what we do. I'm excited for our guest today. We met on the Operator Standard, which is a group that Andy has started. And you guys all know I'm big into Andy and Ed. And so this is just a group I'm part of. And now I'm meeting some cool people here too. So this is Alexis. She runs a business called Gains on the Go, where she'll explain it probably a little bit better than me. But basically, she helps people understand protein and helps hand it out at different events, that kind of thing. It sounds really cool how it all started. Came from a corporate job, super competitive, high-end baseball, all that kind of stuff. Twin sister, which I have an older brother and we're super competitive. So I can't imagine having a twin sister and being competitive. I feel like that would be like, I'm amazed we're both alive at this point. So yeah, excited to get into some stuff. Welcome to the show, Alexis.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's so awesome to connect with other people. Operator Standard is it's a standard, right? And it's a lifestyle we live in our own world. And so it's fun to finally engage, in conversations like this. So excited to chat.
That's awesome. So what got you into Gains on the Go? Tell everyone, we were talking a little bit before, but I think everyone should hear what got you into this and what made you start this specific business?
Yeah. So I was an athlete, born and raised. So I have a twin sister. Yes. Very competitive, and an older brother. So yes, we did make it out alive, but we were very competitive. We played softball and basketball together on the same teams a lot. So that kind of fueled that competitive nature. And ultimately I was a very good softball pitcher, but I knew nothing about nutrition, nothing about sleep, nothing about mental toughness. And again, at 14, who really does? Also, I'm old enough that the internet wasn't on our phones and connected to us like it is now. Right. So different time, different world. But, and so, yeah, I went to college, got a degree in computer science and kind of did the corporate thing for a long time, but really never felt satisfied or fulfilled, and kind of knew in the back of my head that there was this person in there, this seed that liked solving problems, but corporate America and sitting under a desk wasn't going to solve that. And so ultimately about 5 years ago, started really exploring entrepreneurship. And this was kind of one of my baby ideas that I have. I had a couple and I was always too chicken to start. And then eventually just kind of life changes happen. And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go for this and see what happens. And the worst thing that happens is you fail. But I don't think you ever really fail. I think you learn. And so you either win or you learn. You don't lose. And I kind of wish I had also adopted that mentality 20 years ago. That would have helped. But, live and learn. And so I started the business about 9 months ago, Gains on the Go. And so we are a mobile protein bar. So I like to tell people, think ice cream truck concept. So wholesaler. I get all my products from a variety of brands. I really care about quality ingredients. And the goal is to be on site where people are doing things that are active. So whether that is a gym or a training facility or a youth sporting event or a marathon, triathlon, we do wellness clinics. I mean, you name it. There is a wide range of people. I mean, everybody needs protein. I guess I should start there, right? And so I'm trying to meet people, bring the convenience of protein to where people need it and where they're thinking about it. And so we are mobile. And so we will go anywhere and we will set up anywhere and we will provide protein.
That's so cool. I love that. So what do you see as it's interesting we talk about protein, so we'll get it. I like doing podcasts. This is where I learn. I just finally let's say I finally sold out to protein within the last year. And especially any kind of supplemental protein, I was very against it, to be honest, because of a lot of the stuff that's in some of it. And so I finally sold out, and I don't know if I'm feeling if it's the best thing I've ever done, if I can quite say that, but it's definitely been good because it's been fun. What do you see as one of the biggest lacks that people do when it comes to protein? And I'm going to say specifically women.
Yeah, that's a great question. I want to back up because it's funny you said a year ago, because it's ironic that I started this business and protein became the buzzword of 2026. And so it's kind of cool for me because I'm oh, funny that you care about this because I have a business surrounded by it, which is just divine timing, probably. Yes. I think the biggest thing about protein is understanding, and it creates awareness, right? So now we have all this marketing telling us protein this, protein that, protein, protein, protein. And you're like, okay, but what about protein? And the thing is, it brings awareness to what we consume, right? So a lot of people aren't married to their kitchen scale. They might not even own a kitchen scale. They might not even count their calories or count their macros or even care that much about it. And so what this whole marketing shift to protein has done is throw a bunch of confusion at people that are oh, I didn't know I should care about this, but I also don't even know how much protein I should be getting, what sources it should be coming from. And so a lot of the stuff I'm really passionate when it comes to protein and goals in general is helping people figure out what's best for them. I am very anti-fad diet. I think it is one of the hardest things, right? We all, at the end of the day, want to do what's best for ourselves. We want to feel better. We want to look better, whatever it is. But you have to find what works for you. And so I'm just so anti that because it's great that it worked for somebody, but it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And I think the hardest part when you are in a place where you're unhappy with yourself is you're grasping at straws. Oh, this worked for her. It's going to work for me. And it's like, it might work for you. And I just wish that's my biggest knock against the marketing is that like, just be honest with people. Like this might work for you, but it also might not. And I think the sale with the protein is like, it's habits, right? So you said, oh, like a year ago, I just got into like, it became an awareness. So then you're like, okay, I want to know more. Okay, well, so how much protein should you be consuming? I tell people it's a gram per body weight, basically that you're at, or if you're trying to lose within 10 or 15 grams. Okay. So then I immediately say that and you're like, oh God, I don't even know what I'm consuming because I've never weighed my food. And this is the thing too, I think that gets misconstrued is that I personally am a bodybuilder, so I do follow a very specific, I follow a meal plan, I weigh all my food. I completely understand, like to most people, that is like a 1%er. I am very rare. And I totally understand that. And I would never ask anybody else if that's not their goal to do that. But there are some habits that I do that I think people should care a little bit more about, right? You should want to understand generally and broadly how much you are consuming. And so weighing is not a bad idea, or even just tracking. There are free apps, MyFitnessPal and First Form has an app too. You can track as well in there to track your food. And even if you're just writing it down, like if you say, I ate some spinach, I ate some salmon, right? Like I don't even care about the quantity. Paying more attention to what is on your plate starts to create an awareness and an intention, right? And then it keeps going. And so when we talk about, I think women, when it comes to their nutrition, they're always the last priority typically. So for me, I happen to be single, no kids. So I don't have a lot of external responsibilities, but typically women, they have families, they have jobs, they have other responsibilities that pull them away from caring for themselves, and they become the lowest priority. And so then you say, oh, by the way, when you're the last priority, now I want you to weigh and track your food. And they're like, I literally can't think about that because I gotta feed my kids. Yeah, I'm lucky to eat food, right? And so you're like, okay, well, what can you do? And so that's where it's beyond protein to me. Protein is a start. It's really about habits. And so whether you get your sources, then there's a good, better, best situation. Like, okay, well, where should I get my protein from? Does it really matter? Again, if the goal is just to get an amount, I want you to get it. And a lot of it is any way you can get it. The interesting place for me right now is people grasping that, like, so for me, I'll use myself as an example. I weigh 145 pounds. So I would say, okay, eat like 140 grams of protein. When you go take that and you look at a Kind bar, the extra protein that they tell you is 7 grams. If you're eating something that's 7 grams, I'm not close to that 140. I'm not close. And that's the marketing I wish people could see is like, I get it. Nobody wants to eat a plain chicken breast or like, something else that tastes better.
That is a lot.
Again, well, it's just so it's different. I mean, the protein, the chicken breast has like 25 to 30 grams, or you do a scoop of straight protein powder, again, 25 to 30 grams. So you're talking about things that are not even close, but because they contain the word protein, we're all so wrapped up in that word, we don't even understand the context of how much we really need. And so I tell people to start shifting when they talk about planning and, okay, well, how do I do this or where do I start? I say always start small. So start with a glass of water instead of something else, and then start with a protein instead of something else, and just start there because it's overwhelming. And that's why most people fail these types of things and fail to truly figure out their nutrition because it's overwhelming and it's exhausting, and you don't have that much mental capacity to think about it. And so that's where I would recommend people start.
And why is protein so important?
It really helps like grow your muscles and keep them and sustain them. And so it is just like the building blocks for our bodies. And we need that to thrive and live and be able to do everything else that we're doing. And so it is like a key supplement that everybody needs to have in their diet, whatever way, shape, or form you can get it. I think the reality, just like hydration, is that people just are not eating enough protein. And I think unfortunately now, for whether that's you want to take the food pyramid and what it used to be or whatever, wherever you get your information on, I think too, candidly, there's just so much bad information because people are just selling things now, right? Oh, well, do this because so and so said so, right? And it's like there's no context. And we're in a day and age where there's so much information we don't even know what's true. And I think that's the hardest part is people are grasping at straws because they want a solution. They want to fix their problem, but they don't even know if what they're trying to throw at their problem is true. And so that's where I think this whole buzzword and this whole like influx of, because you see at the grocery store protein chips, protein dessert, protein this, protein that. And it's like, well, yeah, can you eat that stuff? Sure. But then you start looking at, again, a sliding scale of like, okay, protein chips. Well, how full are you off of that? And then there's more, we can get into like the actual weeds because it's truly where I believe the next place that this is going is like, it is protein. And then it's like the source of protein. And then like, you talk about all these packaged items right now, and I happen to sell a lot of snacky stuff, and I talk about that. Gains on the go, and my model is literally because people are on the go. They don't want to pack stuff. They want to grab and go. And so everyone's always looking for the constant thing. And, sometimes you don't think about it until you're on the go, and then you don't have it. And then you're like, okay, what do I do now?
That's so true. So let's touch on you starting this business. This is super cool. So you came from a corporate job, a good paycheck, a steady paycheck, and then you jumped into entrepreneurship. How was that transition? And, did you have a lot of support or like zero support or what level and how did you handle that?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think I marinated on this for way too long. And so I guess it's funny that I'm talking to you because maybe I'm talking to myself too. Like for somebody that might be in my shoes, that's thinking about like, wow, I'm really unfulfilled in my job, but I don't know what I want to do. The best thing about having a job is that you can always find another one at the same time, or you can start working on, some people say, oh, work your 9 to 5 and then spend your 5 to 9 working on something you're actually passionate about. I think the hang up for me was like I was willing to spend that time, that 5 to 9 block, doing what I loved, but I didn't know when do you actually make the jump? And I think looking for like-minded individuals before the operator standard came to be was really the biggest challenge for me and something that I struggled with. Like, where do entrepreneurs hang out? Because they're working for themselves. That was literally the question I would ask myself. And I didn't know that there were these masterminds online, which was great. I didn't know there were local meetups, which is great. So again, now people have the internet. They can probably find these things easier and less mental gymnastics than I spent. But I did for a long time work a corporate job and my own business. Not this one. I had another one before for a couple of years. But I think ultimately losing my job is what, I was forced into this because I did lose my job and decided that I had enough. And so I had just reached a point where I was like, you know what? I have gained enough confidence and hit enough bumps in this entrepreneur journey. I'm just going to tackle it and see how it goes. And what I want to call out is that it wasn't like I had a trust fund set up where it was like, hey, you're going to have this pot of money and you can just spend it. No, like this was a lot of calculated risk. And I, again, share that to my younger self, just kind of like this business model I have is like, you don't know what you don't know, but you're not going to get anywhere if you don't start and try and just go. And so I didn't have, a ton of money saved up. I kind of figured, hey, I can start this business. Maybe I'll get a wholesale deal or I'll just buy some products and I started talking about it. And I think that's the other thing too, is if you asked me 10 years ago, what were my ideas? Well, I've had these 3 ideas for my businesses my entire life. I was scared to talk about them because I'm like, oh God, someone's going to steal it. Okay, well, newsflash, it takes work to actually make a business successful. So someone can take your idea. It's still going to take a lot of time. So again, that was another hurdle for me where I was like afraid. So, I lose my job and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And I'm like, you know what? This is the time to go all in on myself. And it has been a long journey, as I was kind of sharing, and alluding to that now I've been planting seeds and now they're like blossoming. And I'm like, oh, I have new problems now, which is all wonderful and part of the journey. I think that I have gained confidence through being an entrepreneur, probably from being an athlete, where it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, I know I can do what it takes to get it done, and I will figure this out. And if I don't know, I will find somebody that knows. I have relationships with people that want to help see me successful. And so, it just became like betting on myself, no plan B. And I'm like, you know what? It's go time. And like, you're going to make this happen. everybody that you have shared this with and like talked to and started to have conversations with loves the concept. They get the idea. Like, let that just be enough fuel to like remind you when it's hard or when you like don't know what you're like. It's there. It's valid. You just got to make it happen. And I know I can make it happen.
Did you have some people that were a little bit like skeptical?
Yeah, a few people. You know, it's funny. They say you should like keep this list of people. I
Mm.
choose to be, I am very grateful to be alive every single day. I do. One of the things that being an entrepreneur network did for me is like focus on gratitude. And so I very much live in a space where like I get to do this. Like I get to bodybuild. I get to wake up at 5 a.m. and like I get to do all of these things. I choose them. Um, and so I try not to live in a place where people doubt me. I'm sure they're out there. I just choose not to focus on them because I find that negative energy does not help me get where I want to go. I'll remember people that will say, you know, things. I feel like though, to be candid, I haven't done enough for people to like be like, oh, she's not going to do it. I think you just don't know what you don't know. And I just choose, I can't even have the energy to focus on the people that are like, oh, is she ever going to actually do something or is she just going to talk about it? Right. Like they're out there and they exist. And I kind of am like, you know what, watch me. Like I will figure it out. And, you know, it might take me longer, but I've also realized that like there is no roadmap to this. And that's why people don't do it. It's not like, here's your silver platter plan. Just wake up. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do and how to do it. And it's going to work. And so like, the haters like to throw stones, right? Like from their glass houses. Like I just choose that like there's always going to be someone that's like, wow, that's dumb. Okay, maybe it's not for you, but I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me and I'm doing it for my younger self. And that's enough to keep it going.
That's good. And even not saying is dumb, but like, for instance, what did your parents say? That was one of my closest people that were like, and they weren't like haters. There was nothing. It was more like they try to protect us. Like, are you sure? I don't know if you're doing the right thing.
I think I think my mom is like very much very supportive of me. She would never say to me that she's like, when is this all gonna work? I told her I have 3 events this weekend and she was like, oh my gosh, all your hard work is like finally coming. And I'm like, yeah, finally. Like it's coming. So I have it. My twin sister and I live with a girlfriend that's like a childhood best friend, and then my mom. Those are like that's my inner circle, and then I have a couple other friends. But like I have a very tight circle, and then I also have like a very tight circle of entrepreneur contacts across the country that are very supportive from afar. And so there was nobody really close to me that was like, nah, like that doubt, right? Fear, uncertainty, doubt. I do have some of it on my own some days where I'm like, nah, what am I doing? But it's not coming from anybody else. And I think that's important to like, it happens, but also like, you got to learn to keep where that comes from at bay because they're just not in your shoes. And it's just so easy to cast that on other people when you don't know what they're doing. And like they might be working their ass off, but like it takes time. This takes time. It doesn't just because the internet shows you these people with rented Lamborghinis, like it takes time.
Right. That's good. And I'm glad that your circle, your mom sounds like my mom kind of when I started. I'm like, I did this. Oh, it's working. Yes, it's working. More my dad. My dad was more like, how much are you making? Dad, it's coming. That's what's my answer at the beginning. It's coming, Dad. And now I tell him and he's just like super proud of me. So it's like, he's like, gotta make sure his little girl's making money. He's like, what are you making? How much are you making? Dad, at the beginning, there wasn't much.
Well, I think the other thing too, to be candid, I think is important is like, I pay my own bills. Like if you want to have an opinion about what I'm doing, pay my bills. But you're not. And so, and again, not parents per se, but like in general, like pay my bills and then you can have some opinion about what I'm doing, but you're not. And I'm figuring it out and I am struggling, you know, and not right now, but yeah, there were moments where I was like really struggling and I can't wait to share that story one day and be like, you guys had no idea. Like, you know, it's not something I want to blast publicly that like, yeah, this was really hard in the beginning. I had no money at one point because I was waiting for my house to sell through my divorce and I was waiting on that to come. Yeah, no money, dude. Like barely putting gas in the car, trying to sell stuff. Like this is hard, but like you don't just post stuff on the internet for like glamour and fame and like pity. No, like I chose this. I chose to do this and it gets hard. and you got to make sales to make a business make money. And so it'll be a great story one day, but yeah, it's been a journey, and I
Let's
am
touch
just
on that
getting
a little
started.
bit. Let's touch on that. How you said you planted a lot of seeds. So in your business, I'm not sure, do you do cold calls? Do you do door knocking? How did you start to plant seeds? And if it was calls or if it was door knocking, whatever it was, what would you say you were doing an average every day as you were starting to build this thing? I want people to know the reality.
Yeah, great question about the relationship. So I first started to think about like, where would I want to find this? Like, if I was looking for this, where would I want to find it? And so again, like I said, the youth tournaments, like I reached out, I started like on Facebook groups. I would look and see if there were sports teams. I would try and pick a sport and then pick like, so there's a lot of pockets of Northern Virginia, which is different from, so I'm kind of redo, this is like my phase two. I did this in Richmond before where I was like starting this, and Richmond's a lot smaller. And so you just do Greater Richmond and like you can get everything. Up here in Northern Virginia, there's like 10 pockets and you got to pick one, and then you got to pick a sport. And so it's funny you ask like, how much are you doing daily? Because now I'm really in the doing it daily. I actually hired Drew Wilson to help me with that stuff because he is a godsend when it comes to calling the damn leads. If you don't know him, go find him. I highly recommend. Just he's been really keeping me accountable, keeping me on track with getting all my leads in and organizing that. And so I think in the beginning it was very much finding sports, then it was like finding gyms, then it was starting to go to events, make connections. And so I would set these baby goals, to be candid. I'm like, one event a week, like just book an event a week. But to book an event a week might have meant 20 to 50 DMs on Instagram, phone calls. Like, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. You don't just make one phone call and get it, right? And so then it's constantly checking. Like I follow now a bunch of pages and gyms and sports teams on my business Instagram so I can see events coming up. And so that kind of helps. And again, that was an evolution because at first I'm like, let me just find an organization or find a gym. But now once you find them, then you can start to see the events and it becomes easier to like build your kind of cycle of how you're going to track and follow up. So now I try and do 20 to 50 a day where I will like send. I do not always get to 50, but I the minimum threshold for me is 20. And messages, DMs. There was this thing I saw, I think it's Dan Fleischman, and he's like 3 calls, 3 requests for like testimonials. And it's like a 3x3 method about contacting people every day. And if you do this every day, you're going to whatever. And I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to model some of my behaviors off of that. And so again, one event a week, like for sales, trying to vendor one new partnership, whatever it is. Cause I also wholesale, so like to training facilities. So it's just been a lot of outreach. Like I would say basically this entire year. So starting in January was a lot of just outreach and cold, and you get not a lot of responses. Then you got to follow up. And so that's kind of been the consistency for the last 4 months.
Yes. And that's where most people fail. So if you're listening to this and you're wanting to do this, this is the key. So I wanted to dig into it because the key is consistency. So it's not doing 50 or 100 or 250 every day. It's doing 20 every day and doing it every day, not some days, every day. And so I just, you guys hear this over and over and over, and almost all my guests say exactly the same thing. Their work is different, but the thing is the same. It's like every day you're making the calls, you're doing the DMs, you're doing whatever it is. And then these events that you're going to, it's not like these are, when you started, for sure, they're definitely probably weren't necessarily paid. You were asking to get in. So you're like, so I just want like people are like, oh my gosh, entrepreneurship. Like I like the reality of it. It's amazing. However, it's work, and there's a lot of work that you don't get paid for. But it's no different than going to school, by the way, guys. You're like, well, that seems dumb. You go to school and you pay to be there. You don't get paid either, and you pay to be there. So this way, you're not actually paying, normally, sometimes, but not the same amount as school, and you could make money. So it's kind of like win-win.
Yeah, the experience, 100%. You're absolutely right. I actually feel very adamant about like gaining experience and taking action. And I think it's really helpful for you to call out this work, because I think people don't really understand like what is the work, right? Do the work. What is the work? The work is you got to generate sales. You got to generate leads. And how do you go about doing that? And people do this every single day. It's not glamorous. Again, it's like, people don't really understand what's under the hood of actually building a business and like the work it takes. And it's because we can't talk about it because we're doing it. Like I literally can't be on the internet being like, hey guys, let me record. I'm doing a podcast. No, no, no. Like I got meetings back to back to back all day and people are like, wow, like that's the schedule. And like you talked about, I think it's really important to touch on too. These are not paid events. People are not paying me to show up in the beginning. Like I'm lucky to pay them. And they're like, okay, well, how much would you like to pay us? And how much of the proceeds would you like to give us for you to show up? And
Wow.
it's very humbling, but it's real. And it's important to understand too, I talked about calculated risk earlier. You've got to do that. Like this is part of the game. You're not just going to show up and be invited and you're going to have to, this is like sweat equity. I mean, I'm now facing where for the first time, I'm like, I might need to hire some help because I'm doing it. Like I said, I'm doing this huge marathon next weekend and I've never done an event this large. And to this point, I'm a one woman show. I know my own business. I know everything about it. Like my twin sister and my roommate are my confidants. They know a lot, but they've never been to an event with me. And I'm like, and I'm also getting asked to book events when I'm traveling. And I'm like, oh no, like, what do I do now?
Can't be in two places at once.
But also, this is my baby. I've never had to explain how to run my business to somebody else because it's always been me. And so now, these are like the next steps. And, it's obviously very exciting and they're new challenges, but it is important to understand, don't get stuck in your head if you're thinking about this transition about I don't have this or I don't know this or like I'm not, you're never going to be ready. There is no right time. You just have to understand it. In theory, like what you're taking on and understand that it's going to take longer. It's going to cost more. And what does that look like? I can't tell you because it's just real. Like it is flat out just real. Andy Frisella talks about, the first kind of 10 years of his business and how much he made. Like, yeah, he didn't make a lot of money and it wasn't glamorous. And people just need to understand, like, this is a long game. You don't build a business and you're going to sell it in 2 years and you're going to be a billionaire. Like that is literally not how this works. And so it takes time. Every single day. People love to tell you about, oh, your time freedom. Yeah, well, I do love my time freedom, but it also means I book myself completely up from the time I leave the gym to the time I go to bed because I can, and everything I need to get done can get done in that time. But, so yeah, I think that, it's really important to know that you're never going to be ready. You're never going to be you're never going to know it all. It's just like the bigger picture of understanding what the risk looks like and, understanding it's going to take time. It's going to take effort every single day. And, you do get to plan your time, but, you got to understand time management. I do, going back to operator standard, because that's kind of, where we got this from. I wish I became disciplined through 75 hard, which is kind of funny to look back on, like where the rigidity of my time management really came from. It definitely did come from 75 hard. And then, becoming this daily structure of like waking up at 5 every day, Monday. And for me personally, my life is Monday through Sunday. I don't do the Monday through Friday and then Saturday, Sunday. I do everything Monday to Sunday. I do the same thing every single day. Nothing's changed, right? Like today, I didn't get up at 5 a.m., because I got meetings all day. And so I'll work out later. I have that flexibility, but my life, I think, truly changed for the better when I created this daily structure for every day, regardless of where I am and what I'm doing, that starts with the gym at 5 a.m. And that's the schedule. And if it can change, but it's like, this is everything I need to get done. And having a power list, right? And having these things you need to get done, I just think has changed everything. And you've got to have that self-discipline. You can be driven and motivated all you want, but like doing the work every day isn't always glamorous or exciting, but you've got to have that drive every single day. Like this was what has to get done. So.
Yeah. And what gets you up on the days you don't feel like it?
Oh, hard-hitting question. I'll be honest. I don't have a lot of days where I don't want to get up.
Why do you think that is when a lot of people do deal with that?
Yeah, so the first thing is I do not check in and ask how I feel when I wake up. That is not how I process. I've just conditioned myself, and that's probably the word, where the gym is a non-negotiable and the way my day starts is a non-negotiable, right? And so unless my schedule dictates that it changes, everything starts the night before. And I've thought about sharing this because I know that it's unique, and I didn't really know how unique it was until my roommate was like, "Wow, you are so structured and like process and like plan ahead." Like this is she had never seen it, and I realized I had never shared it. So my days start the night before. I will around 9 p.m. I will put out my gym clothes for the next morning, and I will prep. I have a pre-workout meal that I eat, and I have water bottles, and I have my coffee cup. I will do all of that the night before because the least amount of thinking I can do when I wake up, the better. And also my day is going to start. The other thing it's important to know. So I plan the night before. My alarm is on. I have told myself, I have this rule for myself that I do not care what I do the night before. 5 a.m. is coming, whether I went to bed on time or not. And so I've just kind of built this lifestyle where like, yeah, Alexis, if you want to go out the night before, you're still waking up at 5, like regardless of how you feel. And so I think it's just built, it's built over time, right? It doesn't happen overnight. I do think again, when you have a structure like 75 hard that keeps that discipline in place where you have no choice to listen to that voice telling you, oh, maybe not today. And so I really don't have it. I don't check in with it. I like don't feel like it. I don't have that. So I know, and that's why I've learned I'm different. And I get it. I get it now. I'm just different.
And if you're listening to this, you're like, wow, I can't do that. It just takes one day at a time and and for sure never getting 2 bad days in a row, which is really good.
Yeah. And then I think the thing is, it's always about winning the day and trying to be 1% better. And so again, like, let me go back to something I shared earlier, because I think it's important. It's like, I didn't get to this point overnight. Like I started somewhere small. And so if what I'm saying to you is like, oh my God, that's so overwhelming, I don't even want to think about all those things. Just pick one. Just pick one thing, one small thing you want to change. Because what happens is your one positive change turns into 2, turns into 3 without thinking about it, because the first one becomes a non-negotiable. Then you start the next one. And once you start to feel better in general, whether it's feeling better in your clothes, maybe your mind is clear, like maybe you just have more energy, that those things that you feel make you then want to create other changes. And so that's why I am really passionate about helping people find what they can start with, because trying to change everything at once, you didn't get there overnight. It's not going to change overnight. But if you commit to, and this is where I tell a lot of people to start, is like, why? Why do you want to make a change? And because you're going to have to come back to that. When you don't feel like it, you've got to come back to like, why am I doing this? No one's making me do it. No one's holding a gun to my head saying I have to do it. Okay, so why am I doing it? And that why has to be important enough that when you don't feel like it, it's like, oh yeah. And a lot of times, to be candid, like if you don't know what your why is, for me, it's just for me. Do it for yourself. If you do it for nothing else, if you don't have a child or family or spouse or whatever that you feel like you have to do it for, it is perfectly justifiable to just do something for yourself. So I want to give people that, like, you can do it for yourself.
That's good. I like that. Well, I know we could go forever, but we're keeping track of time. Guys, if you want to reach out to Alexis and learn anything about what she does, and she can be part of your event, by the way, all her information will be in the show notes. So make sure to reach out and check it out if you have questions. Obviously, you can tell she's super helpful. First and final question is, if someone's looking for their purpose, what's one sentence you would say to help them find it?
Great question. I think start with why. That is a book I read by Simon Sinek. And I mean, that book changed my life. I haven't read it in a long time, but it really, like, life is so short and so precious, and we're not here for a long time. And it's like, you might as well do something that you like doing. And again, when you do things you like doing, it doesn't feel like work. And that becomes important, because whatever you're doing, it's going to be hard. You're not going to like it there on some days. And so I truly believe if your why is like deep enough and it resonates with you enough, and if you struggle to find that, keep searching for it. Don't get stuck on this isn't it. And the other thing too, I want to give you permission. It can change. Your why can change. And one decade, it might be this, and another, in a season of life, like life changes. Nothing has to be forever, but start with where you are today and figure out why for you.
Awesome. Second question, what's one quote that you really like and why? What's one of your favorite quotes and why?
Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. live by that in so many capacities. I mean, sports taught me a lot about life in general. I'm truly grateful for that, but that has been something throughout my entire life where it's like, yeah, just I always come back to it.
Third and final question. What's one word or sentence you want on your gravestone?
Word or sentence? Discipline.
Cool. I like that. So you run into someone in the coffee shop and, they listen to this. What's something that we didn't touch on that you would like to leave our listeners with?
I think the biggest thing besides discipline I'm super passionate about is just being happy. There is nothing more important in life than being happy. And if you're not happy, I strongly challenge you to take a look around in your life and figure out why and what might be causing that. And don't be afraid or intimidated to make changes, because ultimately, there's nothing more important than your own happiness.
That's so good. Guys, I know I don't have to tell you to share this. Share this. Let's go out there. If we can share this, if we can help one person or one starfish at a time together, we can help change the world. Thanks for being on, Alexis.
Absolutely. Thank you.